Your issue with the gym is not your consistency, because you are and have been turning up for quite a while now. 4, 5, 6 sessions per week. But here you are, and every time you look down and you look in the mirror, you feel like you've got fuck all to show for it. And to make matters worse, every time you come on this app or you go on social media, you're hit left, right and centre with all of these transformations of people that seem to build an unbelievable amount of muscle that never seems to happen to you. And you're left thinking, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? Well, my name's Connor. I've been training for about 6 years now, and for the first 4 of those, I pretty much felt exactly like that, but I don't anymore. And right now is actually the least that I have ever trained across a week, yet it's the best that my training has ever been. And so if I could only train 3 times per week, with the goal being maximum muscle build, this is exactly what I would do. Number 1, train on the exact same days every single week. Obviously, in a perfect world, you could potentially be in a situation where you're like, right, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 AM every single week. If you can do that, please do that. Not just from a position of it's going to magically help you build more muscle, but it's more from a psychological, preparational standpoint. And when you know in advance, I'm training at this time this week, this time this week, this time this week, you just get into the psyche almost of training more. It will get you a better session because you're going to be more in the mindset of training instead of just making it up each week as you go along. You might not be able to train at the same time every single week. That's fair enough. But if one week you want to train on the Monday and you want to continue training on the Monday, but then the second week you have to work on the Monday, go on the Tuesday. Try keep it as close as you can to actually training the same days every single week. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that your program ticks these 3 main boxes. Number 1, your muscle groups are all hit 2 times per week. So you're not just that guy that trains his chest, back and biceps 9 times in a week, but trains his legs once. If you can only train 3 times per week, I would probably prioritize having your sessions hit more isolation movements than compound movements. But your compound movements are essentially just your bigger movements which require multiple muscle groups. Your deadlifts, bench press, squats. Isolation movements are more things like a leg extension, a bicep curl, a lateral raise. The reason why I would prioritize these in a 3-day per week training program is because you've got less time, so you want to try and get more into those sessions. And in my opinion, if you're only training 3 times per week, you are better having more isolation movements than you are focusing on big compounds every session. And the third box you want to tick is just actually have a program that you enjoy. That makes you want to actually turn up and do the session. There's no point in training if you're dreading and you hate every session. Okay, so next up we have how should your program actually look? Now everybody's body is different. Everybody's focus on what they want to get out of their sessions is going to be different as well. However, I'm going to give you an example of how I would potentially program you for a 3-day per week session, and I'll explain why I'm putting in certain movements. Okay, session 1, I would start off with a seated hamstring curl. It's a good primer movement that's going to stretch off your hamstrings, get the blood flowing into the main movements. I would then go into a trap bar deadlift. It's less commonly used than a normal barbell deadlift, but for a few reasons why I believe it's actually better for you in this situation. It is generally easier to perform, you can load more weight on it, and also it puts less strain and potential strain on your lower back. I would then do a leg extension and I would drop set that at the end. Into the upper segment of this session, I would do Smith machine incline press. I would follow that up with a plate loaded shoulder press or a machine shoulder press if you don't have a plate loaded. I would then move into a cable lateral raise, single arm one at a time. And then for your core for the session, I would do dead bug plate hold or plate passes. Session 2, I would do something along the lines of a T-bar or a landmine row. Anything which is a neutral grip, so your palms are facing each other. It's going to be focusing more of your mid-back. I would then go into a kneeling or seated single arm cable lat pull down, followed by a cable rear delt row, finishing off with a facing away cable bicep curl. I would then move into a squat, which could be done on a Smith machine or just using a dumbbell, and I would then finish off with 3 sets of beautiful dumbbell walking lunges. Into session 3, and I would start off with a standing calf press machine, or you could just do it using a Smith machine and a plate under your feet. I would then move into a single leg press and then a Bulgarian split squat. I would then go into a low cable row, and I would finish off with a resting arm preacher curl and then a rope hammer curl. And your core for the session would be half kneeling cable wood chop. Now, as I said, there is obviously unlimited ways in which you could program 3 sessions per week, but in my opinion, that is a way which would target all the main muscle groups. It would be fun sessions, you could push them hard, and you would get a lot of growth from them. Okay, so before we continue, I've got something bloody free and beautiful for you guys and girls today. So if you click on the link in the description or on my bio, I have put everything that you potentially and probably will need to improve your training right now into a completely free guide. So that 3-day session guide that I just spoke to you about, I've put it into a Google Sheet format, which you can then make a copy of yourself and then fill it in, and it can be your own 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 week training program. There's tutorial videos for every single movement. There is also 3 to 4 full videos which I've made for one-to-one clients, which cover the in and outs of training, of fueling, of pre-workout, post-workout, of how to get the most out of your sessions, and all that good stuff. Like I said, it is completely free, no strings attached. Link is in my bio or in the description below. Go get it downloaded. It's bloody free. Why not? It's shit hot. Okay, so into the next segment, and we have doing your warm-up set. Now, this is so unbelievably done poorly, it actually shocks me. The fact that people think that they just go in and just lift heavy straight away. Your muscles are not warmed up. Your body is still probably stiff, and you've not actually given it a chance to liven up a bit before you train properly. I would just have a rule of thumb that for every single movement that you do at least one warm-up set. If you're doing a compound movement, so a squat, bench, deadlift, anything like that, I would probably recommend 2 warm-up sets. It's not just from a sense of fatiguing your muscles, it's from a sense of actually, number 1, warming them up physically, and also number 2, warming your mind up. Because if you're going into a heavy set and you've not done any preparation for it with a warm-up set, you're not going to actually be in the best position to lift your best lift. Next up, we have taking your isolation movements to actual true failure. Now, this is something that I probably say about 95% of people don't do, and that is actually training to failure. Because what people's perception of failure is and what actual failure is, there's usually quite a big gap in there. You want to take that to a point where you probably can't actually finish your last rep. It's because if not, you're just leaving a lot in the tank. Now, what I would really recommend is pushing like that on your finale set. So if you're doing 2 to 3 sets, push until about 1 rep of failure for your first 1 or 2 sets, and then on your final set, push that shit to failure, and use intensifiers, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. Next up, as I just mentioned, using intensifiers. Now, these are almost like little bonuses that you could add on to the end of your set or onto your sets in general, which essentially just the equivalent of squeezing that a little bit more out of the toothpaste tube. And you can see that there's a little bit left in there, but you don't just want to throw it away. You want to eke all of it out. So what they start doing, you start chopping up the tube, you start rolling it up, you get that last little bit out, and those are what intensifiers are. If you're training with somebody, what you can actually do is what's called negatives or slow eccentrics. So for example, if you and your friend are doing 12 reps on a row movement, 1, 2, etc., when you get to that 12th rep and you're obviously beginning to get fatigued and tired, basically your back's fucking sore in a good way, what you can do is you can get your friend to help you pull it in, then they let go, and then you just control that eccentric, and then they help you pull it in, and then they let go, and you control this part down. Because your eccentric is the part where your muscle is actually lengthening, and you're actually getting just as much tension in there as you are in that pulling motion. And it's the same on a push motion. So if you're doing a chest press, somebody would help you push it out, and then they would let go, and you would control it on the way in. Another use of intensifier would be a drop set. So that could be something like doing a leg extension, 2 sets of 12 reps, and at the end of your second set, when you have taken that to failure, you instantly drop the weight by 2 or 3 weights on the stack pin machine, and you instantly go again. The reason for that is that when you get to a point of failure, your muscles aren't actually usually fully fatigued. You haven't actually got the most out of them. You've just got the most out of them at that specific weight. But if you drop the weight, it's a little bit lighter, it's a bit easier. Your muscles will then be essentially able to go again, almost into like a new gear, and that's when you actually get the most out of the set. There's many intensifiers, but those right now are probably the main ones that you can and should use. Next up is how do you actually then progress these movements week by week? Because one of the biggest common mistakes is people just go into the gym and they just do the same weights, same reps, week after week after week, and they go,
I'm going to the gym 4 times a week and I'm not making any progress.
Yeah, you're not actually improving yourself at all. This simplest way that I would look at progressive overload, which is the best way for you to actually focus on building muscle, is if you are doing a movement and you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps, and you do 10 reps at 10 kilograms, 10 reps at 10 kilograms, 10 reps at 10 kilograms for your 3 sets. I would then go to 12 kilograms the next week for your first main set. You might get 12 kilograms for 10 reps. Then you stay at the 12 kilograms for your second set, but you only get 7 reps. And you're, oh, I'm a bit annoyed I didn't get my full 10 reps. That is okay. Go back down to the 10 kilograms. Then the week after, your 12 kilograms for 10 reps. Then you might actually get the 12 kilograms for 10 reps again on the second set. And then you might go for the 12 kilograms again in the third set, but you only get the 8 reps. You essentially would just do that movement with good quality quality and form until a point where you could get 10 reps at 12 kilograms for all 3 sets. And then, and only then, would you then push up to 14 kilograms. Because if you push up to 14 kilograms before you can actually get the most out of 12 kilograms, then you're just leaving a lot of muscle growth on the table, because you're going to just fail and fatigue much quicker on the 14 and actually get less out of the session than if you actually just mastered that 12 kilograms in the first place. Next up, we have rest periods. In the era of sitting on your phone during a session, hey, I'm not going to say that I'm not bad for doing this as well. I'd be lying if I said that I've never done it before. However, it is something that right now with my current training, I really focus on. I try not to go on social media at all during my session, and the only time that I go on my phone is to either update my log, so what reps and sets and weights I'm doing, or if I'm changing the tunes on Spotify because I need something a bit more canny to get me going. All right, people will say, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym, but then their gym sessions last an hour and 45 minutes because they do a set where they've probably not even went close to actual failure, and then they sit on their phone for 5 minutes. They go, oh my god, the gym just takes so much out of your time. Realistically, you probably don't need to be, and you probably shouldn't be in the gym for any longer than an hour if you're just doing strength training or you've got a crazily big session, and even then probably shouldn't be even longer than 60 to 70 minutes. Time your rest periods. You don't probably need any more than 90 seconds to 2 minutes per exercise. You'll be shocked at not only number one, how much more you get done in your session, number two, how quickly you get your session done compared to previously, and number three, because of the less rest, there's more intensity, you'll be shocked at how much more. Basically, you're just going to get much better sessions. Next up, we have your pre-workout fuel. Really simple. Carbohydrates pre-workout. Carbohydrates are your main body's source of energy. Main body source? Are your body's main source of energy. When you eat carbohydrates, they are stored as glycogen, and then you have glycogen stored in your body. Your muscles, essentially in the simplest way, take their energy from these glycogen stores to then essentially distribute to get more out of your session. If you're going into every session and you've not really had any carbohydrates before, yes, of course you'll still be able to do your session, but it's not going to be the same quality of session as if you actually fueled yourself. Really simple. I would be aiming for probably somewhere around 30 grams of carbohydrates around 60 to 90 minutes before your session. And you want this to be fast acting, simple digesting carbohydrates, which could be things like rice cakes, a squares bar, a banana, or sourdough with a bit of honey. If you're going to be eating before it's a couple of hours, you could potentially have slower acting carbohydrates, which would be more things like rice or potatoes. And then finishing off, when to actually change your program. So you've been following this program for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10, 12. When do you change? Okay, I'm getting a bit bored of it now. Having that plan of action for when this current training block is done is going to be so beneficial. It's the same as somebody saying, I don't know what to do after I finished my diet, and why so many people finish a diet and then they just put the weight all back on because there was never a plan for the after diet. Just like you might be following a training program and you're doing it and you're going and you're hitting the sessions and you're seeing growth, and then you hit a point where something happens, you go on that holiday, you get to the stage where you want to get to when you start that training program, and then you come back and you're like, right, what do I do now? That's where you need to be actually looking at changing. Also, I think before you think about when to change, I think you need to actually think about mastering your current training block that you're on. And I hope that this video today has helped you understand more about how you can get more out of just training 3 times per week. It is not about more. It's about better. At a point last year, I was training 7 to 8 times per week, and my physique was not actually that impressive. This year, I've been training no more than 3 to 4 times per week. I'm in the best shape that I have ever been in because I focus on quality over quantity. Please take those lessons into your next training block or your current training block, and you will get more out of it, and you will see more muscle growth, and you will then see a improved, better, more muscular physique. I hope you have enjoyed this video today. As I said previously, the free training guide, which is bloody shit hot, is in the link in my bio or in the description. If you want to drop me a message on Instagram or anything about one-to-one coaching potentially for a chat about that, all the links are down in the description below. As for that though, you go and have a fantastic day in what looks like a very sunny Sunday. I shall see you soon. See you later.